Okay, how about if you're gonna start? Is that okay? Let's start. Let's have your attention here. Because I respect people, and I respect Linda, and she needs to leave in 30 minutes. So, yeah, is it okay if I speak up to 30 minutes? And then Linda, you guys can leave. But Cheryl, if it's okay with you, we can stay a little longer and maybe questions, answers, and do some fun. Sure. Definitely. Sounds good. But it's very okay. And I will remind you that in the back they are interpreting because Anastasia, she does not speak English yet. And Anastasia, this is my second conference in English, okay? So I must be a hero to do English. Second. I think the first one I did 12 years ago in English. So Cheryl, thank you so much. You're welcome. This is a new beginning. So my name is Olga Anushenko. My maiden name is Lapin, like Susan likes to tell. And my mom's name is Lysenko. And I was born in Ukraine, Kiev, 43 years ago. So both of my grandfathers were the pastors of the church, and it used to be a Baptist church. Then they realized that there's something more to the faith, so they became Pentecostals. When we came to United States in 1992 for religious freedom, my mom and dad had 10 children. I'm the number 3. We all went to Pentecostal church. But when I was married, had 3 children, and I was 32, when I was told that my child I was pregnant with is not going to live, left side of his heart is not developing, that's when I started questioning, who am I? Who is my God? And why am I here on earth? And a year later, I started going to Jewish Messianic congregation. So you never know where you're going to be tomorrow. And today, I know we have different religions, different denominations, right? You guys are Presbyterian. And ask us how many of us know what it is, you know? And you guys are...
You got Mormons here too.
Mormons. And who are you, Susanna?
I believe I'm a child of God. I was brought up in a Pentecostal, then I married a Baptist. Fundamentalist.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Imagine both extremes, okay?
Yeah.
But the Lord told me that we are saved by His grace and by what He did on the cross. So I'm not to put my husband down because he doesn't think like me, but we need to pray and seek God, and He's going to make our path straight.
Amen. Amen. So, what other denominations are here? I guess it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. As we talked in the last time, we are sisters in Christ. Because when I started questioning who I am, who my God is, I did not find any of the denominations in the Bible. So, I am the child of God. I am the child of the King of Kings. And Jesus, what did He say? I'm bringing you freedom. I'm bringing kingdom of God to earth. So today I was thinking I will share my story, but at the same time, I'm going to name my speech today, Get Back to Yourself. Return to yourself. Who are you? Are you lost on this path? Who are you? Because I believe that so often people live and they don't even know who they are anymore just because they depend on someone else's opinion of them. Just because they go to a very conservative church and they do what the pastor do, but They don't do what they think they should do. They are afraid to say what they want to say, and they are even afraid to think because of someone else's opinion. So my journey brought me that freedom, and I'm thankful to God for it. The journey was very painful, and the journey helped me write a book, start the ministry, and just become a different person. Oh, thank you so much for coming, Sasha. Thank you. So I'll tell you quickly what my journey was, but I brought the book. If you guys will get this book today, it's $25, and I have Russian and English. I would be very thankful because at this point this is my only income. But this book, if you guys read it, it's worth $1 million. Because it's my life in it. It's my heart. It's 10 months of going through hell. It's 7 years of writing a book. It's questioning, do I want to tell the truth? Am I going to offend someone? Why I shared my story in the book is because I wanted to tell people God is never punishing you. I was told in a very conservative church, you have an ill child because you have sinned. God doesn't give ill children to Christian people. God is punishing you with a little baby. And that is something I could not swallow. I just could not agree with. I was one of the righteous people. Trust me, I was one of the best from the kids. My husband is my only guy in my life. I mean, I haven't done anything for God to punish me. And then my friend told me, Olga, I have a very positive cousin. He's actually 50 years old and he's a pastor of the church. Talk to him. He will encourage you. Because when I was told that your baby is not gonna live, do an abortion, 3 medical professionals told me, do the abortion, your baby's not gonna live. I believed I could not do the abortion, even though the baby's not gonna live, because of my beliefs, because of me. I love the baby more and more. Every single time I heard that he has heart issues, like his left side of the heart never developed. So there is 3 different hearts, as I understand, normal heart, Down syndrome baby heart, and hypoplastic left side syndrome. And my baby had hypoplastic left side. So when I spoke to the second pastor, I never saw him. I called him and he said, oh God is preparing you for the ministry. He is not punishing. He is giving you this experience so you will understand others. So you will help other women. And believe me, 12 years ago, that's when it happens. And until today, I spoke to hundreds of women. I spoke at many churches. I spoke at many women's conferences. And I helped moms whose baby would be developing without a brain. And she would not do an abortion. And she would be calling and crying, and I would be encouraging her. I spoke to many moms whose baby lived for 9 months, and that mom knew that her baby is slowly dying, and I was there next to her. I worked with women whose babies were, disabled. I've done a lot, just because of this. If I had never been through this, I would not be standing here this morning, right? I would not. So I'm not going to tell you a lot of my story. I really want you to read it. And the book is there, and I brought a lot of books. I have enough. But why I wrote the book? So number 1, I wanted to tell people God will never punish you for something you did. If you did something bad, you punish yourself, not God. If something bad happens to you in your life, God is preparing you for the ministry. God gives you knowledge. God gives university from heaven. And I know lots of you would probably have 10 diplomas from God because you've been through so much. And that's called experience. Number 2, why I wrote this book, yes, I wanted to leave the memory for myself. And I haven't read this book for probably 5 years already. But when I did, there were so many things I already forgot. I was like, really? Really? I was so glad I wrote it. And maybe one day I should read it. Reason number 3, I wanted to encourage people not to be silent. Share your story. Because when you share your story, that's how people connect. You will open up to me only because you know I've been through it. If you don't think I've been through it, you're not going to open up to me. You know? So share your story, and when you share your story and support others, it's called mentorship. Right? You're being a mentor. You're being there to support. And I have had so many mentors in my life. So many. And that's when I realized that there are so many good people around me, and I don't have to pay them. They just support me. They love me. My neighbors, retired teachers, were next to me for 7 years, 3 days a week. And we would talk for 3 hours. You know why? Because I would write a story and they would say, you said this. How did you feel? And I would start telling them and crying for hours. Why it's not in the book? So I go back home and I add it to the book. I come back next day and he said, you told her you felt fine. What do you mean by fine? I want to know your story. And again, it was more of like consultations. So Russ, the retired neighbor teacher, he would take out my pain and bring it into the book. So the book is full of feelings. And I remember after all of this hell on earth, as I call it, of 7 months and 7 days, my new congregation, they asked me to share my testimony, and I said, God, I don't want to. I don't want to share my pain. I am tired of crying. I want to be happy. I want to move on. I don't want to share this story because it was 2 open heart surgeries for the baby. It was leaving your husband, moving to another state, living in Ronald McDonald House, being on a waiting list for heart transplant. I mean, how much more? And then just because my health was giving up, there was little people who would tell me, Olga, take some vitamin B. Olga, do this and this. Like, I started bleeding heavily. And I was hospitalized. And I had a surgery. And I didn't know if I was going to make it. And my baby was having open heart surgery tomorrow. I was like, how do you survive? You feel like you walk through hell? And where is God? He wasn't there for me. He hid his face. He was gone. He didn't hear me. He didn't help me. He didn't answer my questions. Is that me? I felt so. But on the other hand, there were so many angels in the faces of people who loved me, who hugged me, who prayed for me, who brought me food, who watched my kids. It was mother, it was sisters. The church prayed for me. I mean, it was okay. But after what they told me, did I want to go back to the church? I did, just because I was a sheep. But a year later, I became a lion. I have a story. I couldn't swallow the pill I got. God is not a mean God. He doesn't punish people. He's a good God. And I wanted to tell people how I realized who God was. I was born in a Christian family, but I met him when my baby was dying. I met him when I was 33.
I met him when I was far from family, far from my husband. I met him when I was alone. And that's when I found the true love of God. And one day I told him, God, you know me. You tested me. And today, I love you more than ever before. I have so much in my heart to tell people, and I'm ready to use me. So going back to the conference, they asked me to share my story, and I said, God, I don't want to share my story. I want to be happy. I want to forget. I want to move on. Because as I usually say, it's walking through hell on earth. And, you know, I don't know how many of you hear the voice of God. I never did. I never saw God. I never saw the vision like many people do. But I learned how to hear him in my heart. I learned how to see him in people and nature and everything. And God spoke to me. He gave me this understanding that, Olga, I want you to share your story and tell people everything, the worst things you have been through. And through your story, I'm going to heal the injured hearts of people. If you hide a part of your story, you are not going to help that person. It was hard, as I said, to tell the truth. What pastors told me. I didn't mention their names or church name, but I had to say the story. There was a false prophecy. There was a time, me and my husband, we also almost divorced in 10 minutes because your heart is bleeding. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna move out and give us some time. And what do? Do you say goodbye? Or do you say, honey, you know, I love you. We cannot do that. We cannot do that. When your heart is bleeding, you may say things you don't mean. You may do things you don't mean. So this book really helps you understand hurting people. Because sometimes people are asking, what do you say to a person whose daughter just died, or whose husband just died, or whose parent just died? And you know what my answer is? It's better just to be there and to be quiet. You can bring some food, you can give her a hug, you can take her out to do nails or have some coffee. Please don't talk too much. That hurts. That hurts. Like, I knew my child was in heaven, but telling me that it's good for your child to be in heaven, I didn't want to hear that. Why it's not good for your child to be on earth? And it was a mom. Her child was 4 years old, and she tells me, oh, your child is happy in heaven. I was like, I know, but your child is here. Mine isn't here. So don't tell something you have not been through. Try to speak from the heart, only if you have been there. If you don't know what to say, it's better to be just silent, because it's pain. And as I usually say, pain is different kinds of pain, right? There is so many different kinds of pains. Loneliness is a pain, depression is a pain, abuse is a pain, so much other stuff going on. So, yeah, this book is the book of truth, and if you read it, you'll never be the same. It's good for any age, even kids read it. It's good for any religion, it's good for any education. It just helps you open up, find yourself, understand people more, and realize what your purpose is here on earth, and realize who your God is. So after I prayed, I said, God, use me for your glory. Guess what happened? He used me for his glory. I started doing things I have never done before. One of them, I started writing a book. I never dreamt I would write a book. And you know what one of my pastors told me when I started writing a book? the same pastor who told me God is punishing you, and he tells me, don't write a book, because you will be very proud of yourself, and you'll go away from God. Question, is that the place you want to be? Then I started a radio program, and one of the deacons from the same church still, I was there for another year, and he tells me, oh, you're going up the ladder. You're on the radio now. And I'm like, what's wrong of being on the radio? You know, sometimes the Christians have this mentality that you just sit in church and you're done, and you're saved. And sometimes I speak to pastors, I'm like, do you preach to unchristian people? No, I saved my people. And that's called conservative, right? That's being very conservative. And you guys know what a can of tomato is? It has a lid on it. And it's locked forever, right? Until you open it. And that's what I call conservative. You are right there, and you don't let new information get into your heart, into your head. And are you free? Answer, please. Are you free when you're locked in that can? When you're locked in a very conservative church? Are you free to speak up? Yes or no? No. Are you free to think the way you want to think? No. Are you free to do something crazy like writing a book? Are you free to speak up on the radio, or your pastor sits on Facebook and he listens to everything you do and he checks out all of your comments and then he talks it out to you after church? I've been there. So this heartbreaking story brought me freedom. And this is what I call today, come back to yourself. Return to yourself. And I know Lana, Lily, they are the witnesses. Why am I saying this? Because 2 days ago, we had a very unhappy conversation, sad conversation. It was the ending of something beautiful. But we all knew it was the beginning of something beautiful too. And sometimes it hurts to make a decision right here. But you know that opens up a door for something new. And I'm gonna share with you what I'm going through this week. And I want you to be, you have to leave, Linda?
Yeah.
Is my time up?
No, you go ahead and finish. I just had, I made another date
Okay.
to do something today, and I should have done it
Did you
next.
do one of these?
I did.
Okay, so if you win, I'm gonna leave it for you. Usually I don't, but for you I will.
Well, I'm not gonna, if I don't win, just give it to somebody
But
else.
if you win, I'll leave it for you, okay?
Oh, you're so sweet.
You have to leave too, Karen.
I'm gonna come get your,
Did you do one of these?
I'm gonna come down to your
I did
place.
not, but
Go ahead.
we'll do it another time.
I'll do one for you.
Go ahead. Go fill it out. Go fill it out.
Are you sure we
Yeah.
We'll be all right.
So I'm almost done. Maybe, or let me touch you for
2 minutes, no.
2 minutes. So what we are going through this week. So in 12 years, I wrote a book, I started the radio program, I would invite people and they share their story. And I wanted to give people hope. Through the book, through the story, through every conference I speak, I wanted to give people hope that, hey, no matter what happens, there is song, and it comes out from behind the clouds. The book was published 4 years ago. I opened a nonprofit organization 3 years ago. We came to South Carolina 2 years ago. I met Maria. We started Special Needs Ministry. My plans were different, but because of the COVID, I could not do what I wanted to do. And that's another turn I'm talking about today. You're sad because you cannot do what you wanted to do. We have so many plans, and you guys are with us. I've been talking a lot about things I want to do. Hey, we can't. The life makes a turn. And I think life in that situation, I believe it is God. And he says, make your plans, but it's time for you to go here. Why? Because you're old enough to do this. Maybe you're still being childish here, but go this way. I need you there. So instead of traveling and speaking and selling the books, and that's what I wanted to do, God said, it's time for you to open the Open Heart Center. And that's where I met Cheryl. So the first 6 months, we really concentrated on special needs ministry. And then they graduated.
Thank you so much for coming. It's just little roses, probably. That probably.
Thank you. Can I invite you to our center on Tuesday, this Tuesday, 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
And Liz is going to be speaking, right? Yes?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
And she's going to be speaking on something very important right now.
We'll be there.
I
want to get your book, but I didn't have any checkbook with me
Okay.
today.
Get the book and we can check
No,
it.
no.
Serious, because I'm
No, I'll get it when
Tuesday. I
I'll get it
promised
Tuesday.
you last time I will invite you. So this Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Please come.
We'll try.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we'll try. Thank you.
And you girls have to leave too? Yes. Okay. Have a blessed day. So, okay, let's get back to my story. So the first 6 months we did a special needs ministry. And the next 6 months they graduated and they started gathering at the houses and do their ministry. And our center is a center of hope, emotional support, and encouragement. And we have done so much. We have done so much. And these ladies are witnesses, right? And we would do women's conferences, we do talk shows, we do different events, we support women who are going through hard time in life. I'll see you again. Thank you for helping. You're so cute, so young. So cute. And last week was March 16th, and that's the day we left Washington. And that's the day I told my husband, give me 2 years. I want to build my ministry. I don't want to go to full-time job. And we have tried so much to apply for grants, to look for sponsors, to survive. We tried. God helped us to cover the rent, and we have done so much of good stuff, a lot. But the time came that I cannot do any longer what I used to do. I need to bring home income. My family is hurting financially. And that was a very hard decision for me to make. I cried. For 2 days, I cried. And I told these ladies, this is what I have to do. So I already spoke to the owner of the center. I spoke to some people, and we decided to start renting out the first 2 rooms. So our volunteers are losing the big room, but hopefully we are gonna do the last room. So we are gonna start renting out rooms, and maybe by the end of June, we are gonna stay in it partially, or maybe we're gonna close up. But that opens the new door for me. That's when Olga needs to go back to herself. I gave away myself for 2 years. I did not earn a penny. I've traveled, I helped ministry grow. I have encouraged so many women. And even though I didn't get the results I was hoping to, and I was texting Sophia, one of our girls this morning, and I said, we don't know what's gonna happen, because I feel like, especially here at the Open Heart Center, we would meet and we would talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And each of us would share what's on their heart. Each of us would share what's on their heart. And we had hundreds of ideas. We had hundreds of ideas for events. We had hundreds of ideas for women's conference and other stuff. But time came and I just felt like I am not me anymore. I felt like I lost myself. I felt like I gave myself away. I am not happy anymore. And I felt like I am empty. So being on a positive side, I feel like it was 2 years of schooling. all of us, each of us, all of us ideas, all of us talking to each other, mentoring each other. And I texted Sophia this morning, I will not be surprised if next year each of us is gonna take up the role of a leader and do something great in this community. Because not until you hit that point, you don't open up. You don't start something new. But when you get to the trouble time, that's when the beginning starts happening. That's when the miracles start happening, and that's when something beautiful starts happening. So today, I wanted to tell you the plans for next week and the following year, but again, only God knows if I'm gonna get there. I told my husband, end of March, April, and June, until June 1st, I'm trying this, and if it doesn't work, I'm getting a full-time job. But again, I feel like I'm scared to talk anymore, because it may not happen this time. It may not happen this way. God may be having totally different plans for me that I don't even know, right? But I know this is a beginning of something beautiful again. So I have decided we are going to continue to meet on Tuesdays. So you guys are welcome to come next Tuesday, 6 o'clock. We are going to continue to do the talk shows, but we are stopping to do our meetings and prayer counseling groups because I just cannot be there anymore. I have to start concentrating on myself and do something to earn money. So I had to make the next step. I texted Susanna, I texted Liz, I texted Pastor Mark, I texted everybody who I knew would come back to me and say, let's do this and this and this. And I'm a very excited person. I love to do the events. I love to do things. And I get very excited. But then it comes back to you. You're empty, you did not earn $1, and you're done. So my next step is to start teaching webinars. In my heart, I believe this is something especially young mothers need. But when I talked to my husband, he didn't think so. So I'm gonna give it two months of try, and I just ask you guys to pray for me. Maybe refer some people to me. Maybe tell someone about the book, and maybe refer me to another pastor or church where I could go speak, sell the book, and maybe invite women to my webinars. What I want to teach about is classes that will prevent families from abuse, from problems with your teenagers, from poverty, from disappointments. Looking back, there were so many things we did automatically. You never planned to have enough finances. You never planned the future for your children. You never really planned your vacation or dreams. And looking back, I feel like if I teach these webinars, it's gonna help your mothers. So my webinars are gonna be about preparing for a child. It's not just pregnancy or breastfeeding. It's talking to a mom when she's 19 about next 80 years of her life. Where do you really want to be? And where do you want your child to be? And where do you want to have your relationship with God, your husband, and what are your dreams? Because so often we live our life and we are scared to dream. We don't dream. So that's number one. Number two is going to be raising up children, raising up teenagers. I have made many mistakes raising up my children. On one side, I would say, no, I did not. On the other side, if someone would tell me what I know today, I would avoid those mistakes. And that's why I want to talk to those young mothers about teenagers, I want to talk to young people about preparing for adult life, planning, finances. I look at my children, I have very good children, but some of them have problems, financial problems. And guess what? Mama is the last person they want to listen to, right? So maybe they would listen to someone else like me, you know? Or maybe I could talk to her mom, so her mom could prepare her when she's 10, when she's 12, when she's 15, not when she's 22 and struggling in debt. I want to talk to couples about getting married, preparing for marriage. What is marriage? What is having children? I had 3 children before I had Elijah. And Elijah was probably the first child. I told God, thank you, God, for his smile. You know why? Because he could smile maybe once a month. He had no strings to smile. You know, he was very, very ill. And you don't appreciate what you have until you lose it. So I feel like I have a lot of experience, and I want to teach those webinars. I want to talk about professional development. I want to talk about writing a book, reaching your dreams, doing something more. Not just sit in church and say, I am saved. I sit next to Jesus. We are created in the image of God, right? And he is the creator. So we have to be creators. And when you feel like this is not me anymore, like I told the girls last week, girls, I feel like I'm losing you. I don't want to be the director. I want to get back to me. I want to do what I love to do. So I just want to encourage each of you, listen to yourself and say, who am I? Why am I here on earth? And what God wants me to do. And I'll tell you something funny what happens yesterday, okay? It's not happening until you close the door. And then people realize